Your first year of building muscle decides what your body looks like for the rest of your life. Not year 2, not year 5. The first 365 days you spend under a barbell set the ceiling for everything that comes after, and almost nobody tells you that on day 1. So you're going to do something most beginners never do. You're going to treat year 1 like the foundation it actually is. And by the end of this video, you'll have the complete day-by-day roadmap for how to lean bulk through your first year without burying the physique you're building under a layer of fat you'll spend all of next summer trying to lose. Here's the promise. You're going to walk out of this knowing exactly what to eat, exactly how to train, and exactly what to expect at every stage, from the day you pick up your first dumbbell to the day you close out month 12 looking like a different person. No guesswork, no bro science. Just the timeline. Let's start before you ever touch a weight, because the biggest mistake happens here, in the decision you make about how to approach the whole thing. You've probably already run into the oldest argument in the gym: dirty bulk versus lean bulk. The dirty bulk tells you to eat everything that isn't nailed down, slam as many calories as you can, and sort out the fat later. It sounds fun, it sounds like permission, and for your first year, it's a trap. When you dirty bulk, you do gain muscle, but you gain it riding on top of a mountain of fat, and as a beginner you have no idea how much of what you see in the mirror is actually muscle. You just get bigger and softer, and then you panic, and then you crash diet, and you lose half of what you built. The lean bulk does the opposite. You eat in a controlled surplus, you gain slowly, and you stay lean enough the entire time to actually see your progress. That visibility is the whole point. When you can see your muscles developing, you stay motivated, you make smarter adjustments, and you never have to take 3 steps back. So the dirty bulk versus lean bulk question is already answered. For year 1, you lean bulk, full stop. Now you might be sitting at a starting point a lot of beginners hate to admit. You might be skinny fat, soft in the middle, no real muscle, but not exactly overweight either. And if that's you, here's the good news. A skinny fat transformation is one of the most dramatic changes a beginner can make in a single year, because you're going to add muscle and lean out at the same time, something only first-year lifters and people returning from a long break get to do for free. You don't need to lose weight first. You don't need to cut before you build. You start the lean bulk now. You let your new muscle reshape your frame, and you let the recomposition do the work. So whatever your starting point, the plan is the same. We build from here. Let's get into month 1, because this is where you set the numbers that everything else depends on. The first thing you do is learn how to calculate macros. And I want you to actually do this instead of guessing, because guessing is how beginners end up either spinning their wheels or getting fat. Start with your maintenance calories, the amount that keeps your weight exactly where it is. A solid starting estimate is your body weight in pounds times 15. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you're looking at roughly 2,250 calories just to stay the same. That's your baseline. Now here's where the caloric surplus comes in, and you need to understand it properly, because this single concept is the engine of your entire bulk. A caloric surplus simply means you eat more energy than you burn, and that extra energy is the raw material your body uses to build new tissue. But more is not better. You don't want a giant surplus. You want a small, deliberate one. Add 200 to 300 calories on top of your maintenance, and that's it. That's the lean bulk surplus. It's enough to fuel muscle growth and small enough that you won't pack on serious fat while you do it. With your calories set, you split them into macros. And this is where how to calculate macros gets specific. Protein comes first, always. You're aiming for roughly 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight per day. For that 150-pound lifter, that's 150 grams of protein, non-negotiable, because protein is the literal building block of muscle, and the one macro beginners chronically undereat. Next is fat, which you keep at around 25% of your total calories, to keep your hormones running properly. Whatever calories are left over, go to carbohydrates, and carbs are your friend here, not your enemy. They fuel your training, they help you recover, and they fill out your muscles. So you've got high protein, moderate fat, and carbs filling the rest. That's the macro framework for the entire year. The numbers will shift as your body weight climbs, but the structure never changes. Now let's talk about what those macros actually look like on a plate, because a lean bulk meal plan isn't complicated, and it shouldn't be. You're going to anchor every single meal around a protein source: chicken, eggs, lean beef, fish, Greek yogurt, whey. Around that protein, you build a base of quality carbs, things like rice, oats, potatoes, and fruit, and you round it out with some healthy fats and a pile of vegetables. A simple day might be eggs and oats in the morning, chicken and rice at lunch, a yogurt and fruit snack, and beef with potatoes at night. That's it. You don't need exotic supplements or $60 bulking powders. You need a handful of foods you actually enjoy, hitting your numbers every day on repeat. The lean bulk is won in the boring consistency of a meal plan you can stick to, not in some perfect menu you abandon in 2 weeks. And if working all of this out on your own already feels like too much, my lean bulking program hands you the macros, the meal plan, and the workouts done for you. So tap the link in the description and start building today. So that's your nutrition locked for month 1. Now let's put a barbell in your hands. In your first month of training, your only job is to learn the movements. You're not chasing big numbers yet. You're teaching your body the patterns it's going to use for the next decade. You build your week around the compound lifts, the big multi-joint movements that train the most muscle at once: squats, deadlifts, bench press, overhead press, rows, and pull-ups. These 6 patterns are the backbone of any real hypertrophy workout routine, because they let you load the most weight across the most muscle, and that's what drives growth. For now, you keep the weight light enough that your form is clean every single rep. You're grooving the technique. You're building the connection between your brain and your muscles. And here's the part that'll surprise you. In month 1, you might not see much in the mirror, but underneath the surface, your nervous system is adapting at a rate it will never match again. You're getting stronger week over week, almost effortlessly. That's the beginner phase, and it's a gift. Don't waste it. That brings us into months 2 and 3, where the real engine of muscle growth switches on, and its name is progressive overload. Progressive overload is the single most important training principle you will ever learn, so I want it burned into your memory. It means that over time, you have to give your muscles a reason to grow by gradually demanding more of them, more weight on the bar, more reps at the same weight, more total sets across the week. If you walk into the gym and do the exact same workout with the exact same weights for the exact same reps, month after month, your body has zero reason to change, and it won't. Progressive overload is the demand that forces adaptation. In practice, it's simple. Every week, you try to add a little. If you benched 95 pounds for 8 reps last week, you aim for 9 reps this week, or you add 5 pounds. You write it down every session, and you chase small wins. Those small wins, stacked across 52 weeks, are the entire reason year 1 transforms your body. By now, your hypertrophy workout routine should be settling into a real rhythm. You're training each muscle group somewhere between 12 and 20 hard sets per week. You're working mostly in the 6 to 12 rep range, where muscle growth thrives. And you're hitting each muscle roughly twice a week, so the growth signal stays high. You might run an upper-lower split 4 days a week, or a push-pull legs setup. The exact template matters far less than the consistency and the progression. Show up, beat your logbook, repeat. Before we go further, you need to hear the part of the roadmap that beginners ignore the most, and it's the part that builds the muscle. You don't grow in the gym. In the gym, you tear your muscle down. You grow afterward, while you rest, and mostly while you sleep. So your recovery is not optional. It's where the entire payoff happens. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night, because that's the window where your body releases the hormones that repair and build new tissue. Skip it, and you can eat perfectly and train perfectly and still leave half your gains on the table. On top of sleep, you manage your stress and you take rest days without guilt, because rest days aren't lost time. They're when the work you already did turns into actual muscle. If you only tighten up one new habit this year, make it your sleep. It will do more for your physique than any supplement on the shelf. Now let's talk about how you actually measure whether all of this is working, because what you don't track, you can't improve. You're going to keep 3 simple records all year. The first is your training log, where you write down every lift, every weight, and every rep. so you can prove to yourself that progressive overload is happening. The second is the scale, taken at the same time each morning. And here's the trick. You ignore the daily noise and watch the weekly average, because your weight bounces around day to day for reasons that have nothing to do with fat or muscle. The third is photos, taken in the same spot, same lighting, every 4 weeks. Those photos are the most honest mirror you have, because progress this slow is invisible day to day, but obvious month to month. When all 3 of those records are trending the right way, your lifts climbing, your weight creeping up slowly, your photos getting leaner and fuller, you have absolute proof your lean bulk is working. And that proof is what keeps you going when motivation runs dry. And around this point, something starts happening that catches a lot of beginners off guard. The scale starts moving, and you start asking whether it's moving the right way. So let's talk about exactly what to expect. During a proper lean bulk, you want to gain weight slowly. The right pace for your first year is somewhere between 1.5 and 2 pounds per month, maybe a touch more if you started very skinny. That feels painfully slow, I know. You want to blow up overnight, but slow is the entire strategy, because slow weight gain is the closest thing you have to a guarantee that most of what you're adding is muscle and not fat. If the scale is rocketing up 4 or 5 pounds a month, your surplus is too big. You're crossing into dirty bulk territory, and you're gaining fat you'll regret. If the scale hasn't moved in 3 weeks, your surplus is too small, or you've started eating less without realizing it, and you need to add 100 calories. This is the feedback loop that runs all year. You watch the scale, you watch the mirror, and you nudge your calories to keep that slow, steady climb. Let's move into months 4 through 6, because this is where your first real challenge shows up, and how you handle it separates the people who transform from the people who quit. Somewhere in here, 2 things happen. First, your beginner strength gains start to slow down. Those effortless weekly jumps get harder to earn, and that's completely normal. It just means your nervous system has cashed in its easy wins, and now you're building actual tissue, which takes longer. Second, you hit your first plateau, a stretch of 2 or 3 weeks where nothing seems to move. The lift won't go up, the scale won't budge, and the mirror looks the same. This is the exact moment most beginners panic and do something stupid like slashing their food or program hopping to a random routine they saw online. Don't. A plateau is not a wall, it's a signal. You break it by going back to the fundamentals. Are you actually eating in a surplus, tracked and honest? Are you actually progressing your lifts and writing it down? Are you sleeping 7 to 9 hours? Because that's when your muscle is actually built. 9 times out of 10, the plateau breaks the moment you tighten up one of those 3 things. You stay the course, you trust the slow climb, and you keep going. This is also the stage where it makes sense to talk about supplements, because by month 4, you've earned the right to ask the question, and the honest answer is going to save you a lot of money. The best supplements for muscle growth are a very short list, and the rest is marketing. At the top sits creatine monohydrate, the single most studied and most effective supplement in all of fitness. 5 grams a day, every day, no loading phase needed, and it reliably improves your strength and your training output. Below that, whey protein, which isn't magic, it's just a convenient way to hit your protein target when whole food isn't practical. And maybe vitamin D and creatine's quiet partner, a little caffeine before training. That's the whole list that matters. Everything else, the testosterone boosters, the fat burners, the proprietary blends with names that sound like race cars, you can ignore. They will drain your wallet and do nothing for your physique. Real muscle is built by food, progressive overload, and time. Supplements only ever sit at the edges. Now let's get into a question that'll start nagging at you around the half-year mark. Should you be doing cardio while you bulk? A lot of beginners hear bulk and think they should avoid all cardio so they don't burn off their hard-earned gains. That's a myth, and dropping cardio entirely is a mistake. Cardio while bulking is not just allowed, it's smart, as long as you're sensible about it. A couple of easy sessions a week, some incline walking or light cycling, does 3 things for you. It keeps your heart healthy, it improves your recovery between lifting sessions by pumping blood and nutrients to your muscles, and it lets you eat a few more calories while staying lean. The only rule is not to overdo it. You're not training for a marathon, You're doing just enough conditioning to support the muscle building work, not so much that it eats into your recovery and steals from your gains. 2 or 3 short sessions a week, kept easy, and you're getting all the upside with none of the cost. Let's talk about your 6-month checkpoint, because this is where you take your first real inventory. Pull up the photos you took on day 1, the ones you didn't want anyone to see, and put them next to where you are now. This is the moment the lean bulk pays off, because you stayed lean the whole way, so the muscle you've added is actually visible. You can see fuller shoulders, a thicker back, arms that fill a sleeve. If you dirty bulked, you'd be squinting at a softer, rounder version of yourself, wondering what's muscle and what's lunch. Instead, you've got 6 months of clean, trackable progress, and you've still got 6 months to go. That carries us into months 7 through 9, and at this stage your job is mostly to not mess up a good thing. Your training is dialed, you keep grinding progressive overload, you keep beating your logbook, and you accept that the gains now come in smaller increments than they did in month 1. This is where discipline quietly beats motivation. Motivation got you started. Discipline is what has you hitting your protein and showing up to train on the random Tuesday in month 8 when you don't feel like it. The lifters who transform in a year aren't the ones with the best program. They're the ones who kept the same good program running long after the novelty wore off. One thing you'll want to monitor closely in this stretch is whether your lean bulk is still actually lean. After several months of surplus, even a perfect one, a little fat accumulation is normal. Check the mirror honestly. If you're still seeing muscle definition and your waist hasn't ballooned, keep climbing. But if you notice the fat creeping up faster than the muscle, you have a decision to make. And that decision is the last major tool in your year 1 toolkit. It's called the mini cut, and it's how you finish your year strong. A mini cut is a short, sharp dieting phase, usually 3 to 6 weeks, where you drop into a small calorie deficit to strip off the bit of fat you accumulated during your long bulk. You're not trying to get shredded. You're just resetting your body to a leaner baseline so that when you return to bulking, you've got room to grow again without spilling over into excess fat. Not every beginner will need one in year 1, especially if you kept your surplus tight the whole way. But knowing it exists frees you from the fear of getting too soft, because you always have a clean, controlled way to course correct. If you do run one, you keep your protein high, you keep training hard to hold on to every ounce of muscle, and you keep it short, in and out, then back to building, which brings us, finally, to months 10 through 12, the home stretch, where you bring the whole year in for a landing. By now, the version of you that nervously calculated your first set of macros feels like a different person. Your lifts have probably gone up by a margin that would have sounded impossible on day 1. Your meals run on autopilot. Progressive overload isn't a concept you read about, it's a habit you live, and the body in the mirror is the proof. This is where you take your final year 1 photos, line them up against day 1, and actually let yourself appreciate the distance you've covered. That comparison is the most motivating thing you will ever look at, and you earned every inch of it by choosing the slow, smart road instead of the fast, sloppy one. But year 1 isn't an ending, it's a launch pad. The foundation you just built, the technique, the eating habits, the work ethic, the lean base, all of it makes year 2 faster and easier than year 1 ever was. You now know how to lean bulk, not as a theory you watched in a video, but as a skill you own. You know how to calculate your macros, how to drive growth with progressive overload, how to eat for muscle without getting fat, and how to read your own body and adjust. That's a set of skills most people in the gym never actually develop, and you've got it locked in after a single year. So here's what you do right now. You take your starting photos today before you talk yourself out of it, you calculate your maintenance, and add that small 200 to 300 calorie surplus. You build a simple meal plan around protein you actually like. You learn your compound lifts, you write down every session, and you chase small wins week after week. You stay patient through the plateaus, you keep your cardio light and smart, and you trust the slow climb all the way to the finish line. Do that, and 365 days from now, you won't recognize the person you started as. Your first year builds the body you'll carry for life. Now you've got the map. Go build it. And if you'd rather not do it alone, join my lean bulking program through the link in the description right now, and I'll hand you the exact macros, meals, and workouts to make year 1 the transformation you'll never stop being proud of. If this roadmap gave you the plan you've been missing, make sure you're subscribed, because the next videos break down each one of these phases in detail, starting with the exact way to calculate your macros, step by step. I'll see you in that one.